Did you know that life coaches are needed now more than ever? I'm Frank Macri, founder of Thriving Coach Academy. I've trained over 1,000 coaches and helped them launch their own successful coaching businesses. If you want to make an incredible income and impact as a coach and have a lot of fun doing it, I'll show you exactly how to get it done. This is Life Coaching Secrets. What's up, coaches? In this episode, I'm going to share the only marketing jargon you need to know to become successful as a life coach. Now, I know that the idea of marketing, the whole concept of it, can be very scary and very overwhelming, especially if you have not started your own business before. And it breaks my heart when some people decide to not become life coaches because they think that the marketing is too confusing or it's too complex. Now, when I got started as a life coach, I had no prior experience running a business. I didn't have an MBA, and I hadn't taken any marketing courses before. I started from scratch. And through starting from scratch at zero, getting my life coaching to multiple six figures a year, I've realized that so many of the marketing terms and the marketing lingo out there is irrelevant. You don't need to know it. Over 90% of all of the terms out there are not necessary for you to know in order for you to be successful. So my intention for this episode is to simplify everything and share with you the only 5 marketing terms you want to know so that way you can have amazing success as a life coach. Now, I was featured as a guest on someone else's podcast recently, and this was a podcast that was heavily focused on entrepreneurship and sharing tips to support entrepreneurs from all different industries. And before the episode began, the host and I chatted, and I asked the host what exactly he wanted me to focus on, what topics he wanted me to cover. And he said, well, it would be really great if you could talk about brand positioning. And me, I've been in the game, I've been in the business of coaching for 8 years now. And I had to pause for a moment and go, brand positioning, what does he mean by that? This is never a concept that I've had to think about growing my own business. And this is not a concept that I think coaches even need to know about. So it was so funny how I actually asked him, what do you mean by brand positioning? And long story short, the episode ended up being a big success, but not once did I use the term brand positioning. So there's so many different terms and concepts that marketing experts and marketing gurus use nowadays, and the list goes on. And it can be very easy to get sucked into all of that and think, oh my gosh, I need to learn this entire language, the whole language of marketing, in order to be successful. So I went off to Google as I was formulating content for this episode. For research purposes, I went to Google and I searched what are the marketing terms that you need to know? So I searched something to that degree. And I found a blog post that listed over 60 different marketing terms. And as I was going through this list, there were so many terms that I had never even heard about before. So many terms that were not even relevant to my own success as a life coach. There were terms like closed loop marketing. Like, what does that even mean? One of the terms was flywheel. Flywheel. I had no idea. I've never heard of a flywheel before. Another term was sales enablement. Then there was a term called multi-touch revenue attribution. And then I saw a term called omni-channel marketing. And when I saw that, I said, I'm done. That's it. What is all of this shenanigans? And that's what inspired me to make this episode, because I thought about how there are probably people out there like you who are wanting to start or grow your own life coaching business. And you might go off to the internet and start looking up these marketing terms. And I don't want that to delay you, okay? Because there are so many marketing terms out there today that even I don't know, but I would consider myself to be quite good at marketing since I've been able to have such amazing success as a life coach. So human beings like to take very simple things and make them very complicated. I feel like one of my gifts is that I take very complicated things and I make them very simple. And that's one of our values in Thriving Coach Academy. Keep it simple. So when it comes to teaching the art of coaching and also the business of coaching, every step of the curriculum, we want to simplify the process. So that way you are doing 90% less time, effort, energy that is unnecessary. So you just focus on what are the things you actually need to know. What are the terms that you're going to rely on time and time again? All right. So my goal for this episode is I want you, even if you are at the very beginning and you haven't even enrolled a client yet, I want you to feel empowered. And I don't want you to get overwhelmed at the idea of marketing or some of these marketing concepts out there. I want you to know that there's a lot of marketing experts and gurus that will tell you, oh, well, you need to know this. They're going to use all these fancy terms and they might confuse you. And they also might convince you to believe that you need to hire some kind of marketing agency or advertising agency in order to be successful. And that is not true. That can be helpful at a later point in your business. But when you're getting started, like I never required a marketing agency because I realized that I am the best marketer for my business, just like you are the best marketer for your business. You cannot just throw that responsibility to someone else, okay? So my hope is that if you have any idea in your head that marketing is scary, entrepreneurship is hard and overwhelming and complicated, I want to simplify all of that, okay? You do not need to know very much about marketing in order to be very successful. You just need to know the essentials, okay? So what is marketing? Just big picture, what does marketing mean? I've done a few episodes on this podcast where I've talked about marketing and my beliefs around marketing. So marketing, in my definition, is just the way in which you're connecting with people and forming relationships and then making offers to help them. Okay, so that's really what marketing is about at its core. I have a few other episodes on this podcast where I go more into the ins and outs of marketing. So definitely go through the podcast if you want to learn more. I have episodes. Let me look it up. Episode 11 and episode 12 are called Marketing Myths, Part 1 and Part 2. So those are great if you want more marketing related stuff. Good ones to listen to right after this episode, all right? So here we go. Let's dive in. So there's two kinds of ways you can market yourself, okay? There's two forms of marketing. So think of them like just two big buckets. One bucket of marketing is organic marketing, and the other bucket is paid marketing. So organic marketing is when you don't pay money to acquire a client or a customer. Organic marketing is marketing yourself by having genuine conversations with people, okay? So it could be you meeting someone in a coffee shop and telling them that you're a life coach and offering to support them and them hiring you. That's an example of organic marketing. Organic marketing could be you hosting a workshop or an online training, and then people decide to hire you after that training. Organic marketing could also be you going to a networking event, talking to people at that event, and inviting them to hire you. Now, our organic marketing can happen not just in person, but also online. So if you share content on social media, if you share pictures, posts, videos, even podcasts, that is all a form of organic marketing. As long as you're not paying for those posts to get boosted or shared, that's organic marketing. Now, inside Thriving Coach Academy, we teach you exactly how to grow your business organically without having to pay for any ads at all. We give you templates that lay out exactly how to format your content, your posts, while still being genuine and authentic. So we even lay out templates for when you're marketing. How do you talk to people? How do you introduce yourself? How do you explain what you do as a life coach without sounding weird? So we allow you to have it all laid out for you. And we focus on teaching organic marketing. Now, the other form of marketing is paid marketing. This is when you might pay Facebook or Instagram or Google or YouTube to promote your content, okay? You're paying for ads to go out there. So whenever you see ads, when you're scrolling on social media, those companies, those businesses paid for those ads to show up. They are paying to acquire clients and customers. Now, I tell all of our coaches, you do not even want to think about doing any form of paid marketing until you're making at least $150K a year. And I would say even $200K per year to even start thinking about it. All right. because it is not essential, it is not required, and there's a lot of costs that a lot of people don't realize go into it. You don't just throw money into an ad and then clients magically show up. It's a whole learning curve. But the good news is that you don't need to go down that rabbit hole. You can just focus on getting good at organic marketing, which means just connecting with humans and expressing a desire to serve them and support them. And this is how I built my own life coaching business to multiple six figures just within a couple years of getting started, okay? So there are 5 terms that I'm gonna share with you here. Let's go over term number 1. I'm so excited to make this all simple for you. Now, some of these you may have heard of already, but still, if you've heard of them, it's good to get a refresher. Others might be brand new. So let's start with the first one. The first term you wanna know, the marketing jargon to know, is the client journey, okay? The client journey. So some people might also think of this as a funnel, okay? So what a client journey means, imagine like you have a person and they are standing at point A, and then there's some kind of gap between where they are and then point B. And point B is them becoming a client, okay? So where they are right now, they're just a human. They haven't paid you any money, but point B is they've paid you and they're working with you. So how does your person go from point A to point B? How do the humans go from knowing about you to hiring you? This is called your client journey. Okay, so this is about knowing the actual experience that people have when they first interact with you and your business to the moment when they are completing their investment. They're actually transferring their money over to you. How are people going from knowing who you are to becoming your client? And a lot of coaches don't have this very clear. They're just throwing spaghetti at the wall and they're hoping something sticks. So one of the things you want to do is decide, how do you want people to go from knowing who you are to hiring you? Okay, you want to have that journey clear. How do people go from discovering you to hiring you? Is that clear right now for you? Is it defined? If it's not, then you want to get it clear, okay? So there's no one size fits all for this. There's no one right way. You get to decide what you want your client journey to be. And my biggest recommendation is to keep this very simple. Just keep it 2 or 3 steps long, okay? So I'll give you some examples. And again, I'm not saying that any of these you have to do it this way. These are just examples. So maybe you want people to hear about you on Instagram, okay? So Instagram is the place where people are discovering your content, learning about who you are. That's the first step of the client journey. They find you on Instagram. And then the second step is perhaps you have a link in your Instagram bio where they could directly pay to hire you. Maybe they go directly to an order form page or some kind of sign up page, and that's where they actually become a client. So in this case, the client journey is 2 steps: Instagram to order form page. Very simple. How are they getting to the order form page? There's a link inside your Instagram bio. Very simple. Now, maybe you decide that you want to have a Facebook group, and inside your Facebook group, that's where people are discovering you. They're learning about what you have to offer. They're connecting with you and your content. And then as they connect with you, we still have to figure out, okay, well, how are they becoming a client though? How are they going from just an interested person to an actual client? So maybe you want them to go from the Facebook group to a consultation, which is a phone call where you have a deeper one-on-one talk with them. And that's where you actually enroll them and they complete their payment. So in this case, the client journey is 2 steps: Facebook group to consultation. Very simple. Now, inside Thriving Coach Academy, we give all of our coaches a template on how to have the perfect consultation. So you know exactly what questions to ask in order to evoke so much clarity from your potential client so they sell themselves on working with you. You don't have to feel like you're pushing them or convincing them or definitely not manipulating them. They decide on their own terms that they want to work with you, and they say yes, assuming it's a good fit. So we lay out for you the exact questions to ask so that way you can help people really discover why they want coaching, why they want it now, and why they want to work with you. So Facebook group to consultation is another example of a client journey. Maybe you decide that you don't want to run your business online and you want to offer it in person and market yourself through in-person marketing. That's great. So perhaps every month you host a workshop. And then at the end of your workshop, you invite everybody who attended to book a call with you, to book a consultation with you. In this case, the client journey is monthly workshop to consultation. So are you seeing how simple this is? Do you have a clear client journey defined? If not, you want to define it for yourself. How are people going from discovering you to hiring you? Okay? If your client journey is very complicated, if there are many steps they have to go through, you're making it harder for people to pay you, right? So you want to make it as simple as possible. Now, in Thriving Coach Academy, one of our client journeys is utilizing this podcast. So some of you listening hear about us for the first time from listening to this podcast. And then from this podcast, you go and watch our Coaching 101 training. And then from that, you book an admissions call with our team, and that's where you enroll. Okay, so there's 3 steps of the client journey. And by the way, if you haven't watched our Coaching 101 training, you want to watch that right away. It's going to blow your mind. It's a 1-hour video where I talk about the most important things you need to know in order to be successful as a life coach. Okay, I show you exactly the math to earning your first 100K per year and beyond. So a lot of people start out with this podcast, then they go to the Coaching 101 training, and then they book the admissions call. So these are all examples of the client journey. You might hear the term marketing funnel also used. I like the way client journey sounds a little bit more. So inside the academy, we call this your client journey. It's one of the first things that you want to have defined in order to get your business going. Now, the second marketing term that you want to know is the term prospect. Okay, prospect, otherwise known as a lead. These terms are used interchangeably, a prospect or a lead. Now, a prospect or a lead, all that means is a potential client, a potential buyer. Okay, so for example, let's say that you owned a store and someone came into the store. Maybe you run a bookstore and a person enters the bookstore and they're just browsing around at your book selection. Okay, those people would be considered leads. Okay, they are showing some interest, they're exploring, but they haven't yet become a buyer or a client. All right, so those are all leads. So there are different degrees of what kind of leads you might have right now. And I really like how the way that I learned it is that there's cold leads, warm leads, and there's hot leads. Okay, so you can think about the leads, the people that are in your space right now. You want to also know if they're cold, warm, or hot. So I'll explain what that means. So a cold lead is someone who's brand new to you. Okay, so they're not really connected with you yet. Maybe they have their guard up. They're still skeptical or confused. But the more they hear about you, or the more they hear from you, the more they listen to you, the more they start to warm up. And then that connection is formed and you have a relationship that is established. Okay, so the idea behind your leads is you want to get your leads from cold to hot. The hotter your leads are, the more inspired they're going to be to buy. Okay, so you want to have a pulse for what's the temperature of your network right now, right? So for example, if you're listening to this podcast and this is the very first episode that you've ever listened to, then the moment that you started listening to this, you were a cold lead, okay? You're like entering my space, you're hearing me share some ideas. So as you listen to this episode, you start to warm up, right? You start to get used to my tone, my way of delivering ideas. Maybe you start to get inspired and you start to develop a connection to my message. So then you go from being cold to a warm lead, and eventually you become a hot lead or a hot prospect, okay? And this, when you have someone who is a hot lead, then these are the people that know, like, and trust you. They're ready to buy. These are the people that are really inspired. They're fans, and they also, probably rave about you to other people, okay? So when you think about your prospects, right? Prospect means prospective clients or leads. You want to have an idea of what's the temperature of your leads. Are they cold, warm, or hot? All right. Now, it doesn't take a long time to really warm up your leads, so to speak. So sometimes people think that it takes a long time. The way that you increase the temperature, you warm people up to you, is by giving them value. Okay. The more that you show them that you care and that you want to support them, the faster they're going to warm up to you and be interested in saying yes if it's a good fit. Okay. So it does not take long at all for someone to go from being a cold lead or a cold prospect to being a hot lead and a hot prospect. All right. So when people are like, let's imagine that you've decided to create an Instagram account, let's say, and you start posting out content and you're getting followers. Your leads are probably really cold, okay, for maybe the first series of posts that you put out there. But then over time, people start to warm up to you and they're more interested and they might start to reach out to you, right? And then now you put out more value and they're really engaged, like they're really in your space. They don't want to miss your posts. They're really invested and connected to you. They know you, they like you, they trust you. Now they've become hot leads, okay? So when you make your offers to hot leads, these are the people that are going to sign up right away. They are ready and excited to buy from you. So you want to have an idea of how you can get those leads to be nice and hot, okay? So next marketing term you want to know is CTA. CTA stands for call to action, okay? A call to action. This is very important for you to know. A call to action is an invitation that you will make for your audience, your network, your following to do something, okay? A call to action. So, for example, let's say that you are posting on videos on YouTube. Okay, so some people might just make a video and they might share some ideas or content and then the video ends. A call to action means that at the end of the video, or maybe sprinkled throughout the video, you are giving people the next step that you want them to take. So it might be, hey, if you liked this video, then click the link in the description to get a copy of my book or to get access to my very special training. Okay, this is a call to action. You want to make sure that you have call to actions included in all of the ways that you market yourself, in your content, okay, in the ways that you are putting yourself out there online and also offline. Okay, so if you're doing a workshop, then it's one thing to just deliver a powerful workshop, but if people leave your workshop inspired, but there's no call to action, then they're going to take all their inspired energy and they're going to go hire some other coach to help them actually move forward. So you want to make sure that you have a specific call to action. What is it that you want people to do? How can you share that in a clear, compelling, and simple way? If you're marketing yourself on Instagram, right, at the end of an Instagram post, you want to invite people to take the next step. Maybe it's to click the link in your bio, to book a call with you, or to get some kind of resource that you've created. So when you listen to this podcast, you probably hear at the end of every single episode, there's a call to action, right? The call to action is to get access to the VIP access, which is like a sneak peek into Thriving Coach Academy. So when you listen to the end of this episode, I want you to not just listen to the call to action and of course, go get access to the VIP training if you haven't yet, but I also want you to notice how I present it and notice how it is put at the end of every single episode. Okay, so there is a call to action. The episode doesn't just randomly end. There's something next where you are guided to do. So if you think about the first term we talked about, which was your client journey, right? Your call to action is like you holding their hand from step 1 to step 2 or from step 2 to step 3. Okay, you've got to tell them what to do in order for them to actually do it, in order for them to know where to go. So just assume that people are resonating, people are getting value, people want support. They're just waiting for you to show them how to go from A to B. Okay, so this is why when coaches just make a passive website, and by the way, I was guilty of doing this too for several months in my first year. I made a website and I put up my coaching prices and I thought, okay, I'm just gonna wait for people to come. Right? But there was no space where they were even guided to my website, right? They didn't know who I was. It was just this random website sitting out there on the internet. So there needed to be a call to action to bring people to the site and actually inspire them to work with me. Okay? So CTA, call to action. This is another term you want to know. The next term that's very important for you to know is conversion rate. A conversion rate, all right? So your conversion rate is the percentage of leads who become your clients. The percentage of leads who become your clients, okay? So let's say that you have 10 leads, you have 10 people in a month that book a consultation with you, all right? And let's say that 5 of those leads hire you. That means that your conversion rate is 50%, okay? That means that you have converted 50%. Okay, so this is a very common term used in marketing. Now, you want to have an understanding of what your conversion rate is. You want to have an understanding of this. So let's say that you are wanting to make $10,000 a month as a life coach. Okay, you've done the math, 10K. This is usually a goal that a lot of our coaches in the academy start with. So as long as you are just warming up your leads, okay, now I'm going to use the terminology I'm teaching. You're warming up your leads, okay? They have a way of connecting with you, and you because you've defined your client journey, so you've warmed up the leads, and they are getting into your space. They want to know more, so they are following your call to action to book a call with you. Let's say that you have 10 people that have a call with you. They're very hot leads, and 5 of them decide to enroll for a $2,000 coaching program. So you've hit your $10,000 mark for the month. This is really great data for you to have, because over time, the more months that you track your conversion rate, the easier it's going to be for you to know exactly how many people you need to reach out to, you need to connect with, okay? So if you have a consistent conversion rate of, let's say, 50%, then that means, and you're selling a program for $2,000 each, well, that means you only need 5 people to say yes per month. But if your conversion rate is 50%, then that means you're gonna have 10 conversations per month. Now, of course, your conversion rate can be much higher, right? Of course, it can be much higher. And with all the resources we give you in the academy, we support you to get very high conversion rates. Okay, we've had, I think we had one of our coaches recently say that she had like 8 calls, 8 consults, and all of them said yes. 100% conversion rate for the month. Okay, so it is possible for you to have a much higher conversion rate than 50%. Now, it's also good data for you because let's say that your conversion rate goes down a little bit. It's a good way for you to know, okay, what can I shift in order to get that conversion rate up? Okay, so the higher your conversion rate, the less people that you need to have consults with. So you want to get that conversion rate as high as possible. And if you want to know a little bit more about the math behind your coaching business, putting all the numbers together, I have an episode on this podcast called Math versus Drama. So be sure to listen to that one if you want to know more about plugging together some formulas for you to make your first 10K per month or more. So that's episode 38 in the podcast, Math versus Drama, okay? So those are the 5 most important marketing terms that you want to know to be successful as a life coach. The first one is organic marketing, which means meeting people, having genuine conversations and connections with them, not paying for your clients. The second term is the client journey, which is knowing and defining how are clients going from knowing who you are to actually hiring you. The third term is prospects or leads, which are people that are entering your shop, so to speak. They're the people that are expressing interest, that are having consultations with you. Those are all leads. You want to get the traffic. You want to get those leads as hot as possible. And then the fourth term is CTA, which is the call to action. So you want to make sure that you have some kind of call to action, some clear, compelling, direct, and simple way for people to know exactly how to move the next step on your client journey so they can get closer to hiring you. And then finally, your conversion rate, okay? Having an understanding of what percentage of your leads become your buyers. See, isn't that simple? Not so much to study there. So if you hear all these other bizarre marketing terms out there, I want you to just tell yourself, that sounds really interesting, but I don't need to know that right now. I think part of being successful as a life coach is knowing how to direct your focus, and trying to focus on learning all of the things at once is only going to spread you very thin, and we don't want that to happen. So there is no reason for you to get unnecessarily overwhelmed at marketing yourself as a life coach. These are the only terms you need to know to get you to multiple 6 figures. And I also want you to know that you do not need to go through this alone. We would love to support you in the academy of taking your coaching business to wherever you want to take it, whether you want to make 10K per month, 20K per month or beyond, or even if you want to just do it as a side hustle and just make a few extra thousand a month. We would love to show you what our coaches are doing and how you can do it yourself. No matter where you live, no matter your age, no matter your background, we have perfected the process so that way anyone with the desire to help people can make an amazing living for themselves as a life coach. So be sure to book a call with our team right away. We will not expect you to have all of the answers clear for yourself. We're going to help you clear up those answers because we're going to help create with you a vision for your success. So on your admissions call, whoever on the team is with you, we are going to help you define how it is that you can get whatever goal you want to have as a coach. Of course, whenever I talk about business and marketing and money, I like to make it clear, I think it's pretty much a given by now, that this is not just about the money. What we want for you is to genuinely get your clients amazing results, okay? And we want you to get paid well as you're doing that. And we believe that both is possible. So we'd love to show you how it's possible for you. And we'd love to have you in the academy to grow the coaching business of your dreams. Let's do it. Let's get it done. All right. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you in the next episode. Hey, would you like access to powerful coaching tools you can use on yourself and clients right away? For being a listener of the podcast, I'm giving you a VIP guest pass to get a sneak peek into my coach training program. Inside, you'll learn our coach's secret tool they use to transform their clients' lives. And you'll also get a training on how to launch a coaching business. Just head over to www.thrivingcoachacademy.com/VIP to get started. I'll see you on the inside.